What is up? Welcome back to the channel again. We're here cranking out another video for you today. And today I wanted to do something a little different. I wanted to start kind of a new, I don't want to call it a challenge necessarily because I'm not challenging myself in any way really. I'm not putting a time limit or anything on this per se. So I want to talk about Rey Mysterio. I'm sure you saw that in the title, but we're doing the John Cena collection, okay? And it got me thinking, with the John Cena collection, we're seeing a lot of the different types of things that Mattel released. You know, we're seeing basics, we're seeing elites, we're seeing ultimates, we're seeing, they did those zombie figures, they did the monster figures, they did Ghostbusters, they did like the movie ones where you saw him as Jacob Toretto. They've done a whole array of things, and we're getting a taste of all of that. So basically, we're seeing everything that Mattel has to offer when it comes to wrestling figures just by looking at John Cena. The reason for that is John Cena is so popular, things like that. So I thought, man, Mattel has been such a huge part of wrestling figure in the history of wrestling figures, if you will. But so is Jakks. Jakks Pacific was the company that had the license before Mattel. And they lost that license, I don't know, 2009-ish maybe was the last year Jakks figures came out. I know Mattel started in 2010. I'm not sure if there was a gap or a year gap or anything like that. We'll find that out doing this kind of video. But so I wanted to see what we could do with Jakks. Now, I picked Rey Mysterio, which he's not going to showcase everything that Jakks has given us because he didn't come to the WWE until 2002, and Jakks had the line since 1996. So Jakks had been pumping out figures, from 96 to 2002 when Rey came. So we're not going to see quite everything that Jakks had to offer, but we are going to see everything that Jakks had to offer when it comes to the same scale and size as the Mattels. So that's kind of what my thinking was, is that if we're going to compare Mattel to Jakks, or you want to compare those when it comes to a collection standpoint, we're going to see everything that Mattel had to offer when it comes to the John Cenas, which Jakks did also have John Cena because John Cena was there a little bit. Obviously, he was there before 2010. So they have some John Cena figures as well, but I thought it would be cool to do a different guy since we focused on John Cena so much with Mattel. I thought it would be cool to do a different guy for Jakks Pacific, and I landed on Rey Mysterio because the dude has so many figures. I mean, it's absurd. Mattel, Jakks, doesn't matter. The dude has crazy amounts of figures. He is super toyetic. Kids love the colors. They love the mask. They love his excitement. He's pretty much always been a good guy. I don't know if he's ever been a bad guy, to be honest. Maybe early on in his career, but anything I can think of or remember from Rey Mysterio, he was always a good guy. So always a fan favorite. Kids always loved him. So he's always had a huge following and a huge want and desire for his figures. So he is in or has a ton of Jakks figures. So I think he's a good one to kind of represent everything Jakks had to offer when it came to creating wrestling figures. So I thought he was a good choice. Obviously, we could have went with, like The Undertaker. He's another one that would probably have a big one. But I thought it would be fun to do Rey. The Undertaker might be one that we do at some point because he's just a guy I have huge respect for. There's obviously like a guy like Triple H we could have done. We could have done Stone Cold. Stone Cold would have been a good representation of the entire Jakks run because he was there. He was there in 96, but I believe 97 or late 96 might have been when he kind of began. But anyways, let's get into the Rey Mysterios because I want to kind of start this off, and we're going to start with the year 2002. Now, all the years that I give throughout this, I'm going to try to do a video per year, essentially. Some of the years maybe be big because he has a lot of figures, but at least early on when Jakks is first kind of getting Rey Mysterio and cranking him out, it's a little bit lighter. So for this first year, 2002, and these years and dates are based off of Wrestling Figure Database and the years that they place on the release dates. So if it's not 100% accurate, I apologize. It's just based on the stuff they have, and I'm sure they would say, whoever runs that site would say the same thing, that like it's just based off loose knowledge or what he could find when he was looking these figures up online. Obviously, some of these at some point you may have been able to get the year after or the year before, whatever. But for the most part, I think he's pretty accurate on the fact that these came out when they came out. So those are the years I'm going to go with. I like that site. I love that site. I think it does really well when it comes to categorizing and being able to see everything that a certain guy has. So that's what we're going with. Like I said, I apologize if any of these are a little bit off, but from my research and my knowledge, I think it's pretty good. So to start with, we're going to start with 2002. In 2002, Rey had 2 Jakks figures, well, kind of 3, but 2 Jakks figures come out. And the first one was, he was a part of the original Ruthless Aggression Series 1 line. So Ruthless Aggression was a huge hit for the Jakks specific. This was this is basically where your basics and elite styles kind of started to come from. I mean, this essentially is a Mattel basic figure when it comes to Jakks Ruthless Aggression. This was very cool for the time. Very toyetic, very fun style of figure. You can see he's got the tat there. He's got the tats on his arms. So super detailed. You know, he's got the mask on. It definitely looks like Rey. Rey is an easier one to get likenesses for because it's a mask. And like, you're not trying to make it look like a real person, really. You're just making it look like the mask that he wore. So, but this is Series 1, Ruthless Aggression. This is the main, Ruthless Aggression is the style and the main style that we will see throughout this line of Jakks figures. This is your baseline Ruthless Aggression. Obviously, just like in Mattel where you have like WrestleMania Elites and the Hollywood Elites, the Ghostbusters Elites, like they had sublines within the Elites. There'll also be sublines within the Ruthless Aggressions that we'll see, but this is where it all started when it comes to Ruthless Aggression. This is the Series 1 Ruthless Aggression. This is the body style that somebody would be referring to when they say the Ruthless Aggression style or Ruthless Aggression style figures, what have you. This right here is what they're talking about. So it's got some basic knee articulation. He's got some arm, elbow articulation that doesn't move great because of the elbow pad, but that, you know, is removable if you wanted to take it off. And then he's got the wrist articulation there that you can see. He's got that on both sides as well. But, and then his head, he's got the head kind of swivel there. So that's all it was. Oh, I forgot he's got the hips where he can kick. Again, it's kind of tight, which I want it to stay tight, obviously, because I'm displaying it. So I don't want him to fall over because his legs are loose or anything. But this is the Series 1 Ruthless Aggression Rey Mysterio. I've had this one for a while. I have all of Series 1 for Ruthless Aggression. So I did want to kind of collect Ruthless Aggression for a while where I was trying to put together, you know, I don't know about all of them, but a good set of Ruthless Aggression to kind of display in my collection because it is such a historical line of figures. So I already had this one in my collection. I didn't need to buy it for this video or anything. But yeah, that is Series 1 Ruthless Aggression, the Rey Mysterio. Got the deco on his pants there. That's pretty cool with the kind of like the cross and stuff. But yeah, so that is the Ruthless Aggression. I don't know which order these came out in also. So like when I'm talking about the year 2002 when it comes to Rey Mysterio figures, I don't know what order these came out in. So like it could be, these could be off when I show them, especially as we get it deeper in. So we get to a year where he has maybe 15 figures that came out or something. I have no idea what order they came out in or what order I'm going to show them in by any means. So next up, we have Jakks did a line. They called them finishing moves, I think, for a little bit, and then they switched it to final count maybe or something to that effect. But there was they're the same figures essentially, but one of them was finishing moves and then one of them was final count. And this is the Rey Mysterio final count. So this is the Series 7. He came with Billy Kidman in the 2-pack. And the kind of gimmick that they did with the packaging was you would see him doing the move in the packaging. So like, if I can, I'll try to put a picture in of one of them, but it's like, you know, Rey and a Boston Crab or something and Billy holding him, and like you could see the figures like that posed in the packaging rather than just standing like you would normally see them. They're doing the actual move. But yes, this one came with Billy Kidman. Now these are just crazy when it comes to articulation. They're very Ultimate-esque, if you will. I mean, they got the ab crunch there, but it's really loose, and like it's not the quality of today. He's got the same leg articulation that the Ruthless Aggression had there, but the ab crunch is really the big thing, and he's got the arms and stuff. So very kind of, this is like the baby stages of us getting to the point of having Ultimate figures. And the thing that's funny is like these didn't last very long for Jakks, honestly, because they just weren't great. I don't know. Something about them just wasn't what people wanted. You can see there that like his chest is definitely loose. I bought this loose too, so I don't know the condition that it was. Like, it could have been played with. It could have been just displayed. I don't know. I bought this as a loose figure. There's the mask, the red with the white cross and stuff. So I bought this loose because this set, this Final Count Series 7, is pretty rare and tough to find. So trying to find it mint on card, A, was expensive, like over $100, and B, was like non-existent. I mean, there might be one on eBay right now over $100. So when I saw this one pop up loose, it was like $30. So it was still kind of expensive, but and it came all the way from England, so shipping was a little bit expensive too. So, but yeah, that's the Rey Mysterio. Obviously, his chest is not ideal when it keeps falling over, but the other big thing with these, okay, so like obviously Rey Mysterio is not a big man by any means, and the Ruthless Aggression definitely is oversized as well. But if I stand these next to each other, so here's the Ruthless Aggression right here, and here is the Final Count right here. Like, it absolutely towers over the other one. And like, standing them up straight even, like, it is over a head taller than the next one. So like, if I had a bunch of Ruthless Aggression figures, or Titantron Live was what they did before Ruthless Aggression, before we got to this era, like late 90s, early 2000s, they were doing Titantron Lives. That was like the figure style. We're pretty close in comparison size-wise, or height-wise, I should say, to Ruthless Aggression. And like, if I had a collection of those, and then I got these and wanted to play with it with them, this Rey towered over some of those guys. Like my Undertaker Titantron Live, this Rey would be looking down to it. So like, authenticity wise, these were not there really either when it comes to that. And it was like that because of the torso movement. Like, they didn't have the technology like we do now to be able to make that and not have it just be this huge monster guy. So that's the two figures that came out for Rey in 2002. I said earlier that it was kind of three, and the reason for that is with this Final Count Series 7 Rey, he came with Billy Kidman, as I said, and the gimmick was that they were doing moves to each other. So what that means is, when you went to the store, you could find either Rey doing the move to Billy, or you could find Billy doing the move to Rey. So the figures themselves are identical. There's no reason to buy two of them, in my opinion, at least for these purposes, because we're just looking at the Reys. If you were a mint on card collector, I would say yes, you needed both to have a complete mint on card Rey Mysterio collection, because that's the only way you'd be able to tell that they were any different. Because, like I said, one packaging you would have Rey doing the move to Billy, and the other packaging you would have Billy doing the move to Rey. So everything is identical except for that. The packaging's identical. Everything is identical except for the fact that in one of them it says Rey Mysterio, 619ing Billy Kidman or something like that. And in the other one it says Billy Kidman shooting star press Rey Mysterio. And it has them doing the moves to each other. Like I said, I'll try to put some pictures in here if I can to explain that a little bit better if it's not making sense with what I'm saying. But that is the start of our Jakks dive into Rey Mysterio. So you've got your Ruthless Aggression and you've got your Final Count there. Two different body styles already right off the rip. But this is the 2002 Rey Mysterio collection. And 2003 is also a pretty small year. I want to say there's like 4 or 5 maybe. I'll work on that sporadically here and there. The John Cena one is still my main focus, and Obviously, there's other things coming out, more modern stuff like the Major Bendies and whatnot that you see in other videos that I also collect for. So the Rays will really only be like if I can't find a John Cena I want, or we're having a downtime when it comes to newer figures and like I really want to I have an itch to buy a figure or something. So it'll be a slow process to kind of do this. Obviously, we're starting in 2002 and they only had the line to 2009. So we only have, a few years to get through, if you will, 7 or so. So it's not going to be like a long process per se when it comes to getting through the years. But, acquiring all the figures may take a little bit of time. But yeah, so that was kind of my thought process with this. I want to explore the Jakks lines a little deeper, especially during this era, because this was when I was kind of falling out of toys, if you will. Not falling out per se, but I didn't have a ton of money, so I'm not going out buying a ton of figures. And Titantron Live and Bone Crunchers and stuff was what I had a ton of at the time. So like, we're getting into an era now in Jakks where I wasn't getting a lot of figures and getting a lot of new figures by any means. So a lot of these figures will be stuff I've never seen or played with as a kid. And so I think that'll be fun to kind of explore too. But yeah, other than that, this has been Dylan with The Average Toy Collector, and this is the Rey Mysterio Jakks Deep Dive. Catch you in the next one.